Her husband, with whom she had been living for 45 years, suddenly fell seriously ill, and her children asked him if there was anything he had not accomplished. He looked at me with cloudy eyes and actually proposed a divorce, saying that he wanted to get a marriage certificate with his first love before he died. I disagreed, and my children blamed me for being too cruel. I was forced to divorce, but my dying husband was full of energy and welcomed his first love into the house. I picked myself up and found another job, and my snack bar became very successful. I also became an internet celebrity because of my fashionable dress. My children suddenly came to my house and scolded me for being shameless, but not long after they came to beg again with a smug look on their faces. My 65-year-old husband was lying on the hospital bed, his hair, which was usually neatly combed, a little messy. His cloudy eyes looked around and finally fell on his two children lying beside his bed. The daughter has been a thoughtful person since she was young. When she saw her father looking at her, she choked up and asked, "Dad, do you have any regrets?" After she finished speaking, my husband Ezra's gloomy eyes seemed to brighten up, and he slowly moved his gaze back to me. I paused in wiping my tears and inexplicably had a bad feeling. Sure enough, I heard him say with difficulty, "I want to divorce your mother and get a marriage certificate with your Aunt Yuan." "Dad, you..." Before his children could finish speaking, he started coughing violently. "Because of my cowardice, I missed most of your Aunt Yuan's life. Now that it's time, I want to put an end to this relationship." "What about me? I gave birth to your children and served you for most of my life. So what does that mean?" My mind went blank for a long time before I came to my senses, but before I could wipe away my tears, Ezra's coughing became more severe, as if he would die in the next second. My daughter hurriedly pulled me out the door. The son followed closely behind. I looked at their expressions and didn't see any anger at all. A little surprised. "Do you want your father to divorce me too?" "Mom, Dad's lungs are sick, and he won't live long. Besides, you two have already lived most of your lives, so why bother holding on to these last few days?" "Yes, Mom, it's just a formality to let Dad take care of his regrets. 100 years later, my brother and I will still bury you together." I couldn't believe that the two children who I raised with so much effort were so eager to find a stepmother for themselves. "No way, I won't agree to a divorce." My objection made my son frown. He said coldly, "Okay, Mom, for so many years, my dad has made money while you have been enjoying a leisurely life at home. It's time to get enough." "Elder brother," my daughter interrupted her son, holding my hands and trying to persuade him. "Mom, you have always been reasonable. Why do you care so much about this status?" "I want to say that what I care about is not the status but them." But before she could say anything, her son took the lead and said, "Mom, don't be too selfish. If you hadn't interfered with Dad and Aunt Yuan's relationship, how could they have missed each other?" "Who told you that?" My eyes widened, and I rushed forward and grabbed my son's clothes. "Who told you that?" My son seemed to be frightened by my appearance and his voice became lower. "It's not like this is a secret. I didn't. He was your father back then." My words were interrupted by Ezra's violent coughing, and my son pried my hands apart with an impatient look on his face. "All right, let the past be the past. Divorce my father first and make up for his regrets." I stared at my son's opening and closing mouth. I couldn't bear it any longer and slapped him. Finally, my ears were quiet. Unexpectedly, after a moment of peace, his son's face began to become ferocious and he roared out countless complaints. "That's enough. You haven't worked a day in all these years, and my dad has been providing you with food and clothing. He has been good enough to you. What else do you want?" "Mom, if you continue to be so stubborn, don't blame me, your son, for speaking harshly. Such a son makes me feel a little strange, and after the strangeness I feel afraid." Ezra got mad at me for accidentally ripping my shirt. Ezra was like this back then. His eyes seemed to be filled with poison and the words he said were extremely unpleasant. Later I found out that the shirt was given to him by Ren Yuan, and he had never been willing to wear it. But after he had lost his temper, he started to apologize and give in, which was completely similar to his current son. "Mom, my dad doesn't have much time left. You and him are just getting a marriage certificate. It doesn't affect the fact that you are still our mom. Xiao Yu and I will still take care of you in your old age. I won't get a divorce. It's not that I can't bear to part with Ezra, but I'm already at this age and divorce means confirming that I'm the third party. I know exactly who Ren Yuan is. When she was young, she was very good at turning the tables. I don't believe she will change for the better when she gets older. But I didn't expect that my children would use their grandchildren to threaten me in order to force me to compromise. Mom, if you insist on doing this, I won't dare let you take care of Xiaobao anymore. Yes, Mom, Qianqian's grandmother is very reasonable. I will take Qianqian back and let her grandmother take care of her. My son and daughter's children are all left with me. I have 2 sons and 1 daughter. I am so busy every day that I have to count the time when I go to the toilet. Because they are my own children, I love them very much. But I never imagined that my children would use my love for my grandchildren to threaten me. At this moment, years of grievances made me burst into tears. The daughter seemed reluctant and turned to discuss with her son, but she heard her son whisper, "Don't forget." The crying drowned out their whispers and I couldn't hear a word. Finally, for the sake of face, they dragged me into the ward again. My husband looked at me with guilt on his face. "Luna, I know you feel wronged, but I have been with you for more than 40 years. For the rest of my life, I just want to be with Tingting. She needs me." I was furious. Why didn't she need you earlier? Or later? But now she needs you right after her man died. You, cough cough cough, you are unreasonable, cough cough cough. Seeing her son rushing to see a doctor, the daughter looked resentful. I suddenly didn't want to persist any longer. "Okay, I promise I'll divorce you. But you have to explain clearly to the children what the relationship between you, me and Ren Wan was. I don't want to suddenly become the mistress at the last minute." As soon as I finished speaking, Ezra stopped coughing. The son also turned back halfway. When he came back, there was a woman beside him. She was wearing a black velvet cheongsam, with her hair tied up, and her every move showed her elegance. My husband Ezra's first love, Ren Yuan. As soon as she came in, she threw herself beside my husband Ezra as if no one was around. I admit that she is still pretty despite her age, and she even cried like the pear blossoms in the TV dramas. The two of them seemed to have reunited after going through some great ordeal, and were expressing their true feelings to each other. My 2 children stood by and looked at them with satisfaction, as if the people in front of them were their biological parents and I was just an outsider. After being an insider for so many years, I suddenly became an outsider. I couldn't help cursing out loud. "You're not dead yet. Why are you crying?" Unexpectedly, this sentence angered my son. He gave me a glare, as if blaming me for ruining the atmosphere. Until this moment I finally compromised. What's the point of guarding a home like this? Just a bit sad. I didn't expect that a person whose body is almost buried in the ground, to use the words of today's young people, would actually get divorced. That's ridiculous, but it doesn't matter. I've been taking care of this big family for so many years, and it's time for me to take a break. Let me agree to a divorce. My words stopped Ren Yuan, who was crying in Ezra's arms with her shoulders shaking from crying. Even my husband, who had been breathing more than exhaling, seemed to have perked up. "Give me the house in the west yard and the shop downstairs." As they stared at me, I spoke slowly. The son and daughter frowned when they heard this. The son still spoke first. "Mom, you are already old. We understand that you want a house, but why do you want a shop? Don't worry about what I do. Just give me the shop. I am determined." The son refused to give in. "You're not planning to rent out that shop to cover your expenses, are you?" "Don't worry about what I do." I still say the same thing. The son frowned even more, and the daughter tugged at his sleeve and said, "Mom, are you worried that we will leave you alone after you divorce my dad?" She looks very much like Ezra. I used to think it was a good thing that my children didn't look like me, especially my daughter, because if she looked like me, she wouldn't be as pretty. But now, looking at her face and that hypocritical smile, I feel more and more fortunate. Fortunately, he is not like me, otherwise I would be afraid that I would not be able to make up my mind later. "Don't worry, I've discussed it with my brother. We were originally planning to give you the house in Runsjian. It's close to the children's school, so it's convenient for you to pick up the children. But if you like the house in Xi'an, it's fine, but you'll have to get up early and take the children to catch the bus." I didn't say anything, just watched my daughter in front of me opening and closing her mouth, becoming more and more unfamiliar. But she thought I had heard her, and continued, "As for living expenses, my brother and I have already discussed it. We will take turns giving it to you, 1,000 per month, so you don't have to worry about not having money to spend. As for the shop, there are many office workers there, so I plan to open a coffee shop." "Can?" I nodded, and my daughter was delighted. Just as she was about to speak, I interrupted her. "Then do as you say. I'll go to Runsjian to take care of the kids, and we won't get divorced for now." "Mom, why are you doing this? Dad has no feelings for you. What does that prove? It only proves that your father is worse than an animal. Animals know how to please their mates when they are in heat. Your father gave birth to you without any feelings for me. Mom, you weren't like this before. Why are you talking so harshly now? My daughter was the first to feel wronged. If it were usual, I would never let her shed a tear. But at this moment I am extremely bored. Anyway, either you give me what I say and I'll divorce you, or I won't divorce you and your dad will never get his wish until he dies. Luna, you are already so old and your children have said they will support you. Why are you being so unreasonable? What I didn't expect was that Ren Weiyuan actually spoke. After being sad for a while, I now feel only hatred and anger in my heart. Since she bumped into me, I won't be polite. Who the hell are you? What does our family conversation have to do with you? Oh yes, it has something to do with you too. After all, if you hadn't interfered with other people's marriages at your age, we wouldn't have brought up these things today. I have a very loud voice, and even though it's a single room, there are still a lot of people looking in at the door. Some even took out their mobile phones to take pictures. In this internet age, people like to post everything they take online, but I don't mind. On the other hand, Ren Weiyuan was a little anxious. What nonsense are you talking about? How did I interfere in your marriage? It was obviously you. How dare you say it was me? Was it me who caused you to break up? It was obviously you who kicked him out after you fell in love with someone who had better conditions and background than him, and could help you return to the city. How come you have Alzheimer's disease at only over 60? Would you like me to help you recall the memories in detail? Well, it's just a shop. Right, here you go. Ezra slapped the bed twice. I was furious. Ezra, why are you yelling? If I hadn't quit my job and taken care of the family and let you go south to do business, do you think you would have achieved what you have now? Originally, for the sake of my children, I wanted to find a place to settle down and spend the rest of my life, but now I suddenly figured it out. Not only the house in the west courtyard, I also want the one in Runsjiyuan. In addition, you have to give me an extra 500,000. Mom, are you crazy? How many houses do we have? The son screamed. Dad is not the richest man. You are going to take the house away. What should we do? Besides, those were bought with my dad's money. What right do you have to ask for so much? Anyway, this is my condition. I won't divorce you if you don't want to. I was too lazy to argue with them, but looking at my son's murderous eyes, I still added, of course, you can kill me, but after I die, your Aunt Yuan will be the second wife. I have no objection as long as your father is willing. Ezra cares about these the most, otherwise he wouldn't have given Ren Weiyuan a status even when he was about to die. Alright brother, give it to Mom. It's just a formality. It will all be ours in 100 years. My daughter's intelligence came in handy again. My son turned off the engine and I sneered and said nothing. Dream well, 100 years from now I won't give it to you even if I donate it. The son looked at Ezra and saw Ezra nodded. He said unhappily, okay, we'll give it all to you. But since you have these things, we won't give you living expenses. Can? I nodded and my son seemed a little confused as to why I was so talkative now. He asked tentatively, what about the children? I sneered, why? Your Aunt Yuan won't help you take care of the children. Mom, what do you mean? It was only today that I realized that my adopted son looks exactly like the Chao Xiong described on the internet. I'm too lazy to waste my breath on him anymore. He said bluntly, you can give the child to whoever you want in the future. I won't take care of him anyway. Mom, don't say those angry words. You'll miss Qianqian after being away from her for a while. The daughter seemed helpless and tried to comfort her. I thought of that child who was as clever as my daughter, and suddenly remembered what I overheard her saying to her brothers and sisters. At that time I comforted myself that I was just a young and ignorant child, but now I think that may not be the case. It was noon and I went to wash the dishes after the children finished their meal. After not hearing any movement in the living room for a long time, I became worried and went out to check. Finally, the 3 children were found in Qianqian's bedroom. At that time Qianqian was sharing with my son's 2 sons how to make me unable to leave them. Her childish words still linger in my ears. My grandmother is a person who has never seen the world. We only need to pick a wild flower on the roadside when we go home occasionally, or leave some unfinished food for her. She will be very happy and will love us more and more. At that time I just thought it was because the child was young and the words were inappropriate, but now I think about it. Her mother treats me like this, how can she be any better? My thoughts returned and I sneered. You think too much. I get annoyed just by seeing them. The daughter's face finally darkened, but in the end she didn't say anything. My son even urged me to go and get a divorce certificate from his father. The transfer procedures for the house and shop have been completed. You don't need to rush me after the money is transferred to my card, I said in a deep voice, turned around and walked out the door. He walked to the door, then stopped again, and said without turning his head, "Don't blame me for not reminding you. Hurry up, or don't blame me if your father can't wait and dies." Behind me I heard violent coughing and the cursing of my children. I didn't look back, walk out firmly, but the grievances I have suffered along the way still make me cry. I can't help but recall the past. When I was young I was part of the same group of educated youth that went to the countryside as Ezra Ren Yuan. Ezra was good-looking at the time and most of the girls on the team had a crush on him and I was no exception, but I never thought of interfering in their relationship. With Ezra was some time after they broke up. Ezra cut his arm with a farm tool. I graduated from a medical school and happened to be close to him, so I helped him deal with it. From then on he started pursuing me. We got married after courting for half a year. When we got married, Ren Yuan had already obtained her marriage certificate with the educated youth who brought her back to the city. She was 3 months pregnant when she attended our wedding. She married well and was the first to return to the city. She was so proud to attend our wedding like a peacock, and showed her love to her husband in front of Ezra, who was toasting. For this, Ezra was drunk and unconscious. After waking up, he took the initiative to apologize to me, and said that he admitted that he had not let go of Ren Yuan before, but now he has completely let it go. From then on we started to live a good life. After the countryside service ended, I was assigned to the hospital and he was assigned to the factory. After a quarrel with the factory director, he resigned and stayed at home to concentrate on raising the children. When my son was 1 year old he discussed with me that he wanted to move south to try his luck, and asked me to quit my job. So from then on I became a full-time housewife. Fortunately Ezra worked hard and after 3 years in the south, he not only bought a house but also a small factory. It was also at that time that Ren Yuan's relationship with her first husband broke down, and she was left with nothing. She found Ezra with a smug look on her face. Ezra refused straightforwardly, and I thought at that time that he had completely given up on Ren Yuan. Now thinking about it, maybe he was just still angry at that time. Later when Ren Yuan married her second husband who was 18 years older than her, we had a daughter. That year Ezra's factory expanded again, and he would always bring me my favorite peach cakes when he went home. In the following years our lives became more and more successful, and everyone envied me for finding a good man. But life is never smooth sailing. Ezra's factory went bankrupt due to an accident, and he lost a lot of money. It was also during that time that I washed and tore the shirt that he was reluctant to wear, and I had my first fight with him after our marriage. Ezra apologized. He was depressed for a few years. When he finally cheered up and wanted to start a business, he could no longer keep up with others. Fortunately I had the previous methods and finally I managed to earn some money for myself. Now apart from the 2 houses I am going to take away, I still have 3 houses and a small-scale Chinese herbal medicine processing factory under my name. It's been a bumpy road along the way. I know that Ezra misses the past more and more as he grows older, and his hatred for Ren Yuan has disappeared with time. I thought looking back they were just old friends at best, but I didn't expect that he still had such thoughts. I cried and reminisced all the way and finally I figured it out. What's there to be nostalgic about for a dying man? Since Ren Yuan is eager to be a widow, I'll make her happy. But I'm still a little confused as to why my children are so eager to have Ren Yuan as their stepmother. I even began to suspect that Ezra and Ren Yuan had secretly given birth to the child and then gave it to me. But when I thought about the fact that I gave birth at home and Ezra was not there, only my mom and the midwife, I gave up this ridiculous idea. But I still couldn't help but be curious. But unexpectedly on the day of transfer my ungrateful son solved my mystery. Take it, there won't be such a good thing in the future. It's my dad's bad luck to meet you. My son stared at me like an enemy, and threw the property certificate into my arms. When I got to the door I finally asked the question in my mind. Do you really want Ren Yuan to be your mother? Whether you want to or not, at least they can help us, unlike you who only care about yourself and don't care about your grandchildren. My daughter works in the education system now, and can help us transfer our children to other schools. What can you do to help us? I don't want to waste my breath on him by arguing about what they have grown up with, but thinking back, my son and daughter had indeed been worried about the children's transfer to other schools for a long time. No wonder they wanted Ren Yuan to be their stepmother so much. Are you trying to take advantage of me and my sister by not bringing the child with you? My son stopped me as I was about to leave. He was a little proud and said, I didn't expect that Aunt Yuan is not only willing to take care of our children, but our 3 children also like this new grandmother very much. Just be happy. Don't tell me. It has nothing to do with me. Let's see how long you can keep being tough. I don't believe you've never gotten sick at your age. You'll definitely regret your decision today. Then let's talk about it later. I turned and left, not wanting to even look at this ungrateful person again. A month later they brought Ezra to me to get a divorce certificate. The staff who was in charge of issuing the certificate was very puzzled and asked us if there was anything we couldn't talk about calmly at our age. Ren Huiyuan, who was wearing a red cheongsam with painted eyebrows and powdered face, he sighed. I can't help it. A man who is about to be buried suddenly changes his mind. The staff member sighed, and when I left I saw a look of disdain on her face when she got the marriage certificate for Ren Huiyuan and Ezra. I thought to myself that this little girl is really kind-hearted, but I never thought we would meet again. When we said goodbye I was sitting in the empty shop thinking about what to do. The little girl walked past the store and turned back. Grandma, is that you? What a coincidence. The girl was very lively. After chatting for a few minutes, she knew that I wanted to open a store, but I didn't know what to sell. She suddenly asked me if I could cook. I happened to buy some vegetables. This shop had previously been rented to a catering business. It was also time for dinner, so he made a meal for the girl and me. The little girl praised the food and strongly suggested that I open a restaurant. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to handle it all by myself, so she suggested that I set a limit on the number of tables per day and do some hunger marketing. The name of the restaurant is Taste of Home. I thought this was a great idea, so I made the decision right away. I completed the decoration in about 10 days and opened the restaurant, but I didn't expect that only the little girl came on the first day. Seeing my sad face, the little girl stood up and looked me up and down. Grandma, you dress too plainly, giving people a feeling of lack of vitality. It's no wonder that others don't come. Don't blame me for being harsh. You are so old and so lifeless all day long. I am afraid that you will fall down and blackmail me before I can even eat a few bites of food. That won't happen. I waved my hands quickly and the little girl gave me a new idea. A few days later, I converted the kitchen to be closer to the door. I had curly hair, wore a yellow shirt with a doll on the back and overalls, and I was flipping the wok so hard that it flew up and down. On the first day there were many people taking photos and only 1 or 2 tables eating. The next day there were more people taking photos, but there were still only 1 or 2 tables eating. On the third day, the place was suddenly packed. There were so many people taking photos at the door that there was no place to stand. Some even wanted to take photos with me. The little girl came hurriedly after get off work, and then I realized that I had become famous. Since then, I have been busy for a week straight. After all, I am getting old and my body can't take it. The young girl arrived like timely rain and said that my fame had spread and I could find 2 helpers to wash the vegetables and serve the plates, and I would just be responsible for flipping the wok. At the same time, she asked me to exercise more. Because we live in the same neighborhood, the girl said she would take me for a run every day. At first I thought she was joking, after all young people can't get up, but I didn't expect that she would accompany me to exercise without fail. The days passed by quickly and my shop was always packed. Because of my popularity, many businesses asked me to shoot promotional videos, including those for seasonings and dishwashing liquids. I looked at the money in my bank card and couldn't believe that I could earn so much. But thinking that all my success was due to the fact that I met this little girl, I took advantage of her break and called her to the store. After refusing for a long time, he just handed over the red envelope he had prepared, but it was suddenly snatched away by a hand. Mom, what are you doing? I looked at my son and daughter, who had come to visit, unexpectedly snatched the red envelope from my son's hand and stuffed it into the little girl's bag. What are you doing here? My tone was icy. My daughter looked me up and down at my outfit. It seemed like she was having a hard time speaking. She moved her mouth several times before she uttered, Mom, you are already old. Is it appropriate to dress like this? Auntie, what era is it now? The Qing dynasty has fallen. Do you still want Grandma to bind her feet? Who are you calling Auntie? The daughter was enraged, but the little girl was not intimidated at all. I'm calling you. You're dressed like you're going to a funeral. The little girl suddenly covered her mouth with a look of shock. No way, no way. That cheating old man is gone. Right, I'm going to rip your mouth apart. Before my daughter rushed over, I had already protected the little girl behind me. Tell me, what are you doing here? My daughter's eyes suddenly turned red when she saw me protecting the little girl. Mom, you loved me the most in the past. You said that, but that was in the past. Are you guys okay? If not, we still need to go shopping. As I was about to pull the little girl along, my son blocked our way and stuffed an invitation into my arms. My dad is getting married with Aunt Yuan tomorrow. Did your father ask you to come? I threw the invitation to the ground and said, I won't go. I'm afraid your father will die at the wedding and blackmail me. I recently started using the internet. At the beginning, I had difficulty talking to strangers, and now I can talk back to people casually. The little girls all secretly gave me a thumbs up. The son was furious. My dad is in good health. Oh, it seems your Aunt Yuan also played a role in bringing good luck. But what does it have to do with me? My son and daughter seem to be hurt by me, and even my son who had been yelling at me recently had red eyes. Mom, why are you so cold to us? I ignored them, pulled the little girl and urged them out of the store, locked the door and left under their gaze. But I thought my son said Ezra was in good health just to irritate me. I didn't expect that Ezra was actually well again. Not only that, when my son and daughter came to visit me again, they brought me news that almost shocked me to my core. This makes me reasonably suspect that he was pretending to be seriously ill before just to force me to divorce. Mom, please help us persuade Dad. He's already old and still wants to do IVF with Aunt Yuan. I was shocked by my son's words and was speechless. You are a doctor after all. How can she still have a baby when she is 63? Theoretically, it's impossible. But Aunt Yuan has already started repairing her ovaries, and because she took good care of herself and has been taking medicine, it's not impossible for her to be repaired. The son hung his head and the daughter also looked anxious. Dad said that if Ren Weiyuan gave birth to a child for him, regardless of whether it was a boy or a girl, all his property would belong to Ren Yuan's child. Well, it fits your father's character as a romantic man. I nodded, and my daughter's eyes widened. Mom, aren't you angry? Why should I be angry? I am very curious. The daughter continued, but you clearly loved Dad very much before, and you even made such a condition in order not to divorce him. I was so angry that I laughed. It turned out that they thought I wanted those things to threaten Ezra not to divorce me. I am speechless. Okay, I won't go. Instead of trying to persuade me here, why don't you go and persuade your father? I stood up and chased them away. And don't come here again. I get annoyed when I see you. Mom, how could you become so hard-hearted? We are your children. When you forced me to divorce your scumbag father, why didn't you remember that I was your mother? Go as far away as you can. After sending away those ungrateful children, I sat in the store and began to think about life. My store is here, and they can still come whenever they want in the future, but I don't have to open a store here. Now, everyone on the internet knows the silver-haired grandma. I can definitely open it in another place. Given the nature of their work, there is no chance for them to bother me every now and then. Just do it. I found an agent to sell my 2 houses and the shop. For the first time in my life, I boarded a plane, something I had never dared to dream of before, and rushed to the destination I had wanted to go since I was young. But I didn't expect that the moment I landed and opened the internet, there were countless videos and messages in WeChat. Among them, the most eye-catching one was the new one sent by my son. Mom, where have you been? Ren Weiyuan lost my son. When I saw this sentence, my palms tightened reflexively, and a layer of sweat broke out on my forehead. But soon I came to my senses from the countless insults from my son, who was scrolling up and down. After deleting their WeChat, I was just about to block their phone numbers when my daughter called me. Because I was clicking on the mobile phone page, I accidentally pressed the answer button. The daughter on the other end of the phone was hysterical. Mom, are you crazy? Why did you sell your house and shop? That's my stuff. Why can't I sell it? Stop it, Mom. Can you just think that my brother and I were wrong some time ago? Qian and the 2 babies can't live without you. From my daughter's end, there were only sounds of crying and quarreling. It sounded a bit harsh, and just as I was about to hang up, that annoying voice came from the other end of the line. Luna, you are too selfish. Even if you blame me, your children are your flesh and blood. How can you just sell your house and shop? How can you just ignore your grandchildren? Ezra, how dare you say that to me? I calmed myself down, stabilized my blood pressure, and stopped feeling dizzy. Then I said in a deep voice, I don't want children like that. I'll give them all to you. As for grandchildren, I don't have any children, so where do they come from? You are so heartless. Ezra on the other end of the phone was breathing heavily, and seemed to be about to say something, but I had already hung up the phone and quickly blocked it. Half a year later, my shop opened in the ancient town. Table reservations were still limited, and there were tourists coming to visit every day. But I never expected that Ezra would come. Life did not break his spine. When he appeared at the door of the store with his body straight, his hair was combed meticulously, but from the yellowing of his shirt collar and the fatigue in his eyes I could still tell that he hadn't been doing well recently. Luna, I brought you the new vegetables today as soon as they arrived. And these flowers, I just bought you a bunch when I passed by and smelled them. His words were interrupted by the old man who suddenly broke in. I looked at Sujomu, who was dressed like a colorful peacock every day. When I first came here, he was still an old man wearing a Zhongshan suit, sitting leisurely in front of an antique shop and playing with birds. Do you want to smell it? No. I turned my head away. Musu just smiled awkwardly but was not angry. He was already busy changing yesterday's flowers. When he threw the flowers into the trash can at the door, he saw Ezra at the door. I asked casually, "Do you have a reservation? We need a reservation for dinner here, and there are only 5 tables a day." "You." Ezra glanced at Sujomu and then at me. "You and him are married. Return. What's it got to do with you?" As soon as I finished speaking, Sujomu realized that Ezra and I seemed to know each other. The enthusiasm he had just shown was gone. "If you don't want to eat, don't block the door and delay other people's business. Luna, Ren Wyan and I are divorced." Although I was a little surprised when I heard this, I didn't care. "So what?" I think. "Don't even think about it. You are Luna's ex-husband, right? You are already old. How can you be so shameless?" Ever since I became famous, people have been asking me about everything, and almost everything about me is known. Musu was so angry that he fought for me for a long time. He also took the opportunity to boast about his loyalty, saying that his wife had been dead for 40 years and he had never remarried. Actually, to me it's all the same. But I don't think Ezra is a match for Suzuma's mouth. Sure enough, I heard him chattering on and on. "Who do you think you are? The emperor? Are you planning to have nothing to do with Xiaoying-chun but something to do with Zhong Wuyan? What does your divorce have to do with Luna? Does that mean I have to marry you again if you divorce Luna? What does it have to do with you if I talk to Luna?" Ezra looked angry. I stood up and poured myself a glass of water. "His words are what I want to say. If you still have a bit of backbone, please don't disturb my life in the future. If I had known that I would live so well after divorcing you, I would have divorced you a long time ago. What about our son and daughter? You don't care about them anymore. Xiaoyu's parents-in-law don't want to take care of the children. They have quarreled with her husband several times recently because of this matter. They are about to get divorced." "Oh, then let's get divorced." My nonchalant attitude irritated Ezra. "Luna, how did you become like this? Here it is again. They really are a family. I've always been like this. Goodbye." Ezra still had some dignity left before the onlookers gathered around, but as soon as he left, the little girl called him. "Grandma, do you know, your ex-husband and his new wife are getting divorced again." "I just found out," I said lovingly. "You gossip all the time. Hey, let me tell you something you don't know. That old lady, that Ren Yuan, pretended to be a decent person at first, but after she lost your son's son, she was completely exposed. She had a big fight with your ex-husband, and ended up losing the child she had just conceived through test tube. After the child was gone, she used the excuse of being weak and ignored everything at home. She asked your ex-husband to feed her and wash her clothes. Not only that, she also asked your ex-husband to give a house to her first husband's son, and the daughter of her recently deceased husband. The old man refused, so she filed for a divorce and ended up taking half of his property. Now your son and daughter are arguing with the old man. It's just that I didn't expect that old man would have the nerve to come to you. I just chased him away." After hanging up the phone, I chased away Sujomu, who was buzzing like a fly. I finally digested the big news, but within a few days my son and daughter called me using unfamiliar numbers. "Mom, Dad had a stroke. If you have a stroke, go to the hospital. Will it be helpful to call me? He's back from the hospital, but he's not able to move around much now, and there's no one to take care of him." I hung up the phone after hearing this, and after thinking it over for a while, I simply cut the card. But I didn't expect that even so I would still be able to know Ezra's condition. He filmed a video accusing Ren Yuan of marriage fraud. Not only that, he also went to the entrance of Ren Yuan's children's workplace in a wheelchair every day to make trouble. Because of my cowardice, I missed most of your Aunt Ewan's life. Now that it's time, I want to put an end to this relationship. But I didn't expect that in the end. He would suffer a cerebral hemorrhage. He stayed in bed for a few days and was then taken home. In the end, he died with bed sores all over his body. As for Ren Yuan, I heard that my bastard son sued her and wanted back the house she bought for the son of her first husband. Her daughter was also suspended from her job because of Ezra and now hates her. When I went back to attend the little girl's wedding, I happened to see her daughter scolding her for being indecent and having an affair. But at this moment, she no longer had the elegance and composure of the past. She followed her daughter closely, holding the child in her arms. When they passed by me, they didn't even recognize me. It was not until this moment that I realized that Ezra was a Cancer, and whoever got involved with him would be unlucky. Fortunately, I have escaped from the suffering. After attending the little girl's wedding, I plan to go abroad for a trip. After working hard all your life, it's time to enjoy yourself. When I've had enough fun, I'll find a nursing home and donate all the remaining money before I die. I won't leave a penny to my ungrateful children.